Welcome back to another episode of 602 Row Show. Today we're going to be covering Fantasizr Season Long, which is a little bit different than the week-to-week picks in that you can only set your roster one time. 6 guys under a salary cap that we'll get into here in just a little bit. But the important thing is that you really want guys that go deep in the competition. You need to have that depth of competition or you're not going to win. There are very few exceptions to that. Last season actually being one of them where if you had the early season villain, she put up so many points early, it was actually the difference between winning and losing. But that entry, shout out to Ashley, also had, I believe, 4 of the last 5 or 6 remaining. So you really need to have that depth of competition in order to make it. So you're looking for final 1s, final 2s, people inside the top 12. The pricing takes into account everything we know, everything we think we know, and then some like strength of show from the first episode. So it's unlikely you'll be able to roster 6 people in the top 6. So really having a crucial understanding for the Bachelorette format and where those middle pieces will fall is important to setting yourself up to have a really good lineup. So really high level on Fantasizr Season Long. This is the way to play Season Long. There's not a better product out there from a scoring and strategy standpoint. Fantasizr has it cornered. I'll continue to say that even though they don't pay me. But they use crowdsourced scoring, so everything pretty much gets picked up. You don't have a whole lot of missed points because the whole internet's watching. They're scoring on 77 scoring categories. If you can dream up like, oh, what if a guy did this? There's probably a scoring category for it. There are no negative points. Every scoring category for this is worth positive points. So you don't have to weigh the risk reward that you do in a weekly format. This is really just depth of penetration and how long these guys last. They will be scoring points, generally speaking, if they're there. So really, it's just getting the guys that are in for the long haul. I got a few of my favorite scoring categories up on the screen here. Misusing a word or phrase. I am biased in thinking that this cast is a little bit less attractive and a little bit dumber than usual. So we'll see how that plays out. The leg wrap hug is a great one, especially with these girls that are a little over the top. Gabby and Rachel have a lot of energy, so I'm anticipating pretty much every one-on-one to have one of these leg wrap hugs, and I'm really excited to see those. Needing medical attention isn't one that comes up horribly often, but it's usually about once a season. And if you can peg that guy and have him on your roster in combination with some of the other things that are going on, it's a nice spot to pick up some extra points. And it's usually a really funny interaction. Getting hurt's not funny. I get it. It's hilarious on reality TV. This next one, being accused of wanting to be the next Bachelor. I have a feeling this is going to come up quite a bit this season. I've definitely been wrong before, but this is one that I'll be looking for personally, as some of these guys might not be here for either one of these girls. They might be here to get into the limelight and try to become the next Bachelor. And then a big one is kissing both Bachelorettes in the same episode. There's a limited window of time in which this can happen, but the points for this are on par with getting an overnight at the Fantasy Suite. So if this happens, you'll be getting points for both kisses and then bonus points for kissing both. So maybe not one that happens more than once or twice, but definitely one to watch out for as we move into the season here. So moving into the pricing, you do have a $100 salary to pick 6 guys. You have to have 6 guys. You cannot spend over $100. So anything less, absolutely fine. What we've seen in past years is that leaving money on the table isn't necessarily a bad thing. You have to have 4 people in usually the top 4 in a regular season. With 8 Final Fours here, we're not exactly sure how the screen time is going to work out. So you want to get it as far into the competition as you have. You probably need both winners. And as of right now, we don't know exactly who that is. But as I was saying earlier, you want to get into the top 12. If there's a villain that goes pretty far, you probably want to have the villain in a format like this, because we just don't know what the end of the season is going to look like. We have a very specific formula that they're probably going to follow pretty closely, but with double the cast, it's unclear how much camera time everyone's going to get. So it's more important than ever to not have Final Four, but to have Final Twos. We'll come back to that in a little bit, but this pricing is based, again, off of what we know, what we think we know, and what we saw in episode 1. Eric is all over the previews. Tino's all over the previews. Jason and Zach all over the previews. Those are your top 4. Then you meet this middle range here where we had almost no performance night 1, some preview footage, some things we're hearing off the internet. This is really, Matt down through, let's call it Mario. And if you play weekly, you know how I feel about Mario. And then you get into this lower tier where it's guys that are just kind of there. They don't have a ton of footage. And you work your way down all the way. I've never seen so many $11 and $10 players. Part of it is that there's still 29 guys. But if you have data that you think other people might not have, there is absolutely some room here to get some of these cheap players and slot them in and be able to build yourself a pretty masterful roster. So again, you want Final 2, Final 4, Final 12, maybe a villain. Do your research. Look everywhere. Look on Reddit and forum boards, and you can start to piece together a narrative, whether it's real data or just what other people are thinking. A lot like daily fantasy sports or season-long fantasy sports, having a contrarian lineup could pay off for you if you do it in the right spots. There's a lot of good data about who's at the top of the season. If you can find a piece of information in the middle of the season that other people don't have or other people aren't thinking about in the right way, given your knowledge, you can absolutely put yourself in a fantastic position to win. My lineup. And note, I didn't win last year. We've been on a great run. The Club 602 family, I don't think, has lost this competition in 10 seasons now. So we're putting out good work. But here's my lineup. You do have a captain. Your captain scores 10% on top. So generally speaking, you want your captain to be whoever you think scores the most points. So I have Eric as my captain, Tino, Zach, Tyler, Avon, and Ethan. So spoiler alerts, right? 602 Row Show, it's all spoilers. Tino, Zach, Tyler, and Avon are Gabby's top 4. Rachel's top 4. Too much Bachelorette in my head. We're really in a position here where we don't know either winner. We have a really good idea about who wins. Most of the information is pointing us to Zach or Tino for Rachel. I think it's Zach, just based on some of the editing we've already seen, some of the social media posts that we've seen. Tino, Zach, Tyler, Avon. Tyler's 4th for Rachel. Avon's 3rd for Rachel. Gabby's is a little more complicated. Eric, we believe to be Gabby's winner right now. Eric is my champion because the rest of Gabby's guys are either unknown or a mess. It really is going to come down to how those edits are portrayed, how those points play out. But again, you want as deep a chance as you can get. So if we have all 4 of Rachel's final 4, you have the winner. Not sure which one it is, but we have the winner. Jason A for Gabby, we believe, is final 2. Eric and Jason A. The reason Jason A is not in my lineup is because we have seen some footage, some edits, and some information online that makes us think that he doesn't get a favorable edit at the end of the season, up to and including that he might self-eliminate. If that's the case, he's going to take himself out of large chunks of those final episodes, and he might not get the crying, the kissing, the interactions that a final two normally would. So Eric is my choice from that side. We go shotgun approach with Rachel's side and get all 4 of her final 4. And then Ethan is a final 12. We know he makes the cruise ship. There's footage of him on the boat. He might not go much further than that, but at the $11 price tag, being able to fit him in with, fingers crossed, both winners, right? If we hit on Eric and we have all 4 of Rachel's, we have both winners. We have 5 guys in the final 4, right, across both girls. So being able to slot Ethan in at $11 and know that he goes at least halfway, there's potential for points there. We saw him be a little bit funny on the intro on night 1. He also had some sly remarks back and forth towards the other guys. If he can bank on those kind of points, make it halfway through the season, maybe kiss one, maybe kiss both, I feel pretty good about his floor, allowing us to bank all these heavy hitters on the other side. So again, Eric as my captain, he will score 10% on top of whatever he scores. Tino, Zach, Tyler, and Avon, who are Rachel's final 4. So guaranteed to have a winner in there unless something crazy happens. And then Ethan rounding out the batch as a guy who hopefully has that high floor and can get us some value points where normally you wouldn't find something like that unless you hit the villain. And again, you cannot discard the villain edit because it was so important in the last season. But definitely something to keep an eye out for. You absolutely want your best lineup out there. You have to believe in it. But you also have to consider what everybody else is doing. You have to consider who's going to be playing who, because it's a smaller league. So if you find yourself in a situation where there's a lot of overlap in picks, it's the smallest things that are going to end up making the difference. So work your final 4s, work your final 12, and good luck to everybody. As I said, this was season long on Fantasizr. We usually only do 2 episodes of this a season because you don't change your lineup. So there'll be a preview, and maybe we'll touch on it in Rose Show, and then there'll be an outro where we'll kind of recap all the data and see what happened. Week to week, it is not too late to start to get in on the Rose League. Download the app, join our league, #602 Rose Show, and join Bachelor Nation, because there's a ton of people playing. The conversation is great, and that game is live scored on Monday nights as the show runs. So definitely something fun to get into, especially if you're at a watch party. It just adds another layer while you're watching. You can get that competition on while you drink your wine and make fun of these millennial and Gen Z men. Should be a pretty good season here. So thanks for tuning in. Good luck on both your weekly leagues and on season long, and I hope to see you on there. Catch you next time.